Thank you all for joining us for this session, Innovations in Talent Management and Acquisition. Before we get started, I have just a couple reminders throughout this week to show our appreciation for you taking the time to join us. For each session you attend each day, you will be entered into a daily drawing to win 50 Encore Award points. And at the end of the week, one of our top participants for the week will receive 100 points. And there will be 25 names drawn each day. Also, the content of this session is deemed training. That means these sessions are only open to Encore employees and contractors are not permitted. Throughout this session, we encourage you to engage with the speakers with comments and questions through the chat feature. You can use your reactions, and they will answer questions at the end of the session. Talent development. Joe Pennington, the Senior Manager of Talent Acquisition, and Kim Arnold, Director of Talent Management. And I will turn it over to them.
Great, thanks. So we'll let you see us before we go to sharing our slides, and we mostly disappear or we shrink for you. So I'm Kim, and I've been here about 18 months, and I think part of what we'll talk about is how we've come in and brought some different things. Joe came next. Joe, you've been here?
Yeah, just about a year and 3 months now. Yeah.
And then Starla, you just said you're about to celebrate your year?
Coming up on my 1 year.
Yay.
We're all tenured now.
Yes.
We are. So, okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started because we've got a lot that we want to share with you and not a lot of time. So can you guys see my screen? Doing that little check that we always do. Okay. Technology told me that you could. I just wanted to make sure. So we're going to talk about transforming talent management because that's really what we were brought in to do. We were brought in to make some changes. And if you think about change, it happens at different speeds and intensities. And so what we needed to figure out when we joined was, are we going to do a slower approach to change, like what you might call continuous improvement? Are we just, kind of doing the same thing better? Or, are we going to really bring some innovation, some new things? Or are we going to do some disruption here? And what I found is we've done everything, but for the sake of today, because it is Innovation Week, we'll talk a little bit more about those things that we would say were innovative or more disruption. And as we approach this, we wanted to make sure that everything that we did it the right work, the right way, at the right time. And these were kind of our guiding principles in working together as a leadership team and transforming talent management. So for the right work, we want to make sure that we built a case for it, that it was going to add value to the organization, align with our strategy, reduce risk, these kinds of things, and that it was also going to build a brand that we were easy to work with. And then in everything we did, we wanted to have metrics so that we could show the benefits. And, we haven't been here that long and are just rolling things out. So I'm not going to share metrics today, but it will share a little feedback. And then the right way for us, we saw that as bringing in best-in-class solutions, bringing in the experience that we have from, other organizations, but that the right way would be that it's customized and it's a right fit for Encore. And also that whatever we did, we executed really cleanly and with strong execution. As far as things being the right time, we wanted to see where was the appetite, and that would help us focus. And one of the things that we heard was there was an appetite to do a lot of things to do some building of capability and supporting managers, and especially new managers. And so you'll see that's one of our focus areas that we're going to spend some time today on, just because that's where we started. But where there wasn't an appetite, we thought, well, maybe we need to create the hunger, because sometimes people don't know what they don't know. They haven't seen it here before. But also to make things the right time was we had to fix the basics first. And especially like with Joe's team, He totally transformed some of the things we'll talk about. And it was, we had to create our own bandwidth. We only added a couple headcount, but we had to streamline processes and automate things so that then we could work in a different way. So these were really our guiding principles. And to make sure that we knew what was right in each of these categories was stakeholder engagement the entire time. So the things that we're going to focus on 4 examples today that we'll give you. The first 2, I would say, came out of an innovative strategy. For talent acquisition, we were moving from the strategy was that we were providing tactical support in the past, very transactional. The new strategy was we wanted to be strategic partners to the business. So Joe will share a full desk recruiting model that's one of those innovative strategic examples. And then for talent development, moving from, again, being much more transactional and suggesting opportunities to buy some solutions, where this was more, no, we're going to borrow, build, and buy, and we'll talk more about that. And then kind of beyond the strategies is we'll share 2 more solutions with you that we felt were really innovative. These are technology based. One was in using talent acquisition is Joe will talk about a technology that we brought in new, and then Starla will talk about leveraging an existing technology, but really totally, even though it was an existing technology, the way we're using it was total innovation. When I talked about engaging stakeholders, early on in my brief tenure here, I was meeting with one of our SLT members talking about recruiting. And this was like not verbatim, but this was pretty much the quote. It said, Kim, managers don't even want to post jobs externally because you guys are so complicated. You have such complicated processes that it creates way too much work for them. So they're just posting only internally. And I thought, well, if we're supposed to grow, how are we going to grow with that? We really needed to disrupt this. And so that's really where I created this tagline is I don't want to be seen that way. We want to be seen as adding value and being easy to work with. And I think some of the things that I think what Joe has shared and piloted, I think our brand has totally changed and evolved to not only are we seen as easy to work with, but people are excited to partner with us. And so, Joe, one of those things that is really excited hiring managers is the process that a full desk recruiting. So have you thoughts about what that's like?
Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it. Yeah, so when we talk about innovation, it doesn't necessarily have to be new technology. With innovation, it could also be increasing processes to make it easier on the business. And since this new TA team came to place and began training as a part of our management development series 1, a consistent theme came up from the hiring managers. They needed more help with the screening and dispositioning of candidates. They didn't want to be so involved in the recruiting process. They wanted to be able to bring us their requisition, for us to be able to post it, and then be able to interview candidates. They didn't want to do all the behind the scenes work that took up their time. Basically, they didn't want to be part-time recruiters. So what we ended up doing was creating a new process that would alleviate a couple things. One, it's going to return valuable time back to the hiring managers. They're going to be able to do their day-to-day jobs without having to do all these laborious recruiting tasks that keep them away from their day jobs. And then also, it's going to allow us to attract a higher quality of candidates. As Kim mentioned in the previous quote, they don't want to post roles, and one of the reasons why is when the role's posted, they get a couple hundred candidates. They have to disposition all of those candidates. It's a long process, and they just don't have the time to do it. So with this full desk recruiting option, where our recruiters are taking on the task of all the behind the scenes work, screening candidates, qualifying candidates, and then just presenting the highest quality to the hiring managers, they're allowed to post that job for a longer period of time so that they can ensure they're looking for the highest quality candidates. They're going to get a better quality candidate because the job's going to be posted longer. And also our recruiters will be able to go out and source for candidates based on what the hiring manager is looking for in specific qualifications. So with this process, we're also looking for the higher quality candidate. And then finally, create a more consistent candidate experience. Since our recruiting team will be working with all of the candidates, they will be handling the process from step one all the way through the end. You're going to see a more consistent process. And from a candidate experience, you're going to be receiving more consistent candidate experience. You're going to know what to expect when you're going through the process, what the screening will look like, what the feedback will look like from an internal candidate standpoint, because our recruiting team will be handling that on every requisition moving forward. Right. When we talk about the full desk recruiting workflow, we managed to do is set this up so that we have a not only a quicker, more expedited process, but also giving more feedback to the hiring manager and being more of a strategic partner or a trusted advisor throughout this process. So instead of having the hiring manager upload the requisition in the system and kind of hope that they checked all the right boxes, instead they're going to move to submitting a help desk ticket through the HR request. Our recruiters will receive it on the back end, and they'll build out this entire requisition before they ever have an intake call with the hiring manager. So what we're looking to do is, instead of the hiring manager raise a requisition, they're going to get on an intake call with the recruiter, and the recruiter is going to do that for them. They're going to find out what the candidate profile looks like for the position, so they know who to source for when they're screening out candidates, which candidates to screen out and screen in. So this will be more of a strategic approach to recruiting, and take less of that order taking off the recruiter. After the intake call, the recruiter is going to post the job internally and externally. Again, this is going to give us a chance where we want to post more roles externally, and the hiring manager should have that excitement to do that, because they're not going to have to weed through all the candidates that come through. And then strategically source if needed. We want the highest quality of candidates coming into Encore. And to do that, when we know what the candidate profile looks like from a recruiting standpoint, that's going to allow our recruiters to go out and find those individuals. The individuals that are not active on the job boards looking for a role currently, but maybe they're happy in their job, but that's the right candidate we need. So we're going to go out and find those individuals from a recruiting standpoint. And then the recruiter is going to screen and qualify candidates. When we post a role, we get probably about 50-60% of the candidates that don't qualify, but maybe they pass our screening questions. So our recruiters are going to go in there, weed out the candidates that are not strong, and be able to screen the most qualified candidates for the hiring manager. So from an internal candidate standpoint, you're going to start receiving communications from the recruiter to ask you a little bit more in-depth qualifications about your background. They're going to want to learn more about you so they can present that to the hiring manager and help advocate on your behalf to say this individual goes beyond the resume. We're looking beyond the resume now with these recruiter screens so that we're actually digging into the candidate backgrounds.
And Joe, you would hear, because a lot of you on the call, you're not in the hiring process, but I think one of the things I want you to take from this is that when we talk to stakeholders and when we talk to employees, they often felt like candidates that made it to the interview phase or even got a position weren't always as qualified as maybe they felt that they were, or other candidates. So I think having Joe and his team being involved in this process really helps to make sure that there is a consistent rigor to the way that we are screening our candidates, so that by the time it gets to the hiring manager, they're really already qualified. And we hope that that will help put kind of you at ease if you have felt like you've experienced that in the past.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kim. And at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're providing those candidates to the hiring manager, but we're not taking the decision making out of the hiring manager's hands. We're just helping them get to the best quality candidates for them to make their selections. So after our team goes through, does the recruiting screenings, qualifies the candidates, they're sending that up to the hiring manager, and that hiring manager is reviewing those finalized qualified candidates, selecting who they want to move forward with in the interviews, setting up their interview panels and conducting their interviews. And then the recruiter is going to send emails to every applicant and supports the offer process. So during this stage, after the hiring manager gets back to us and lets us know who they are going to select, The great thing about, again, providing a more consistent process is our recruiters will be dispositioning the candidates. They're going to be able to reach back out to every candidate that interviewed to let them know if they received the job or not. We're no longer going to have some type of black hole where you applied, you don't get a response. And then also we're providing internal training for the hiring managers to give feedback to our internal candidates to set up a more thorough loop when an internal candidate interviews, give them feedback if they didn't receive the job, help them prepare for the next time a job becomes open. So we're providing those materials to hiring managers so that you're getting a better internal candidate experience as well.
And this was where we could have done broad innovation is, we were hearing that this wasn't happening enough. People wanted feedback, but it's not an easy thing for people to give. So Starla's tackling it with a lot of her trainings that we're building, but we're also providing tools here. But the recruiting team will help make sure that this happens. So if you are involved in a process and feel like you're not getting that, please let your recruiter know, and they can help make sure that you get that feedback. Thanks so much, Joe.
Thanks, Kim.
I'm going to move us into the next innovative strategy, which is the talent development strategy. So when I joined, one of the things, again, that I saw was that if you had contacted the training group for help with something, often the question was, well, what budget do you have? And we were a bit of a broker or kind of helped you loop to external resources. And, that's costly to the organization. And a philosophy that I always had, a strategy, was that there is a lot of free content out there in the world. And you guys know this. If you want to learn how to bake a souffle or play guitar, you can go out there and someone has posted those lessons for you, and it is free. And the same thing goes for leadership development, manager development, career development. There's a lot of free stuff out there. And so why build something that exists? So I'm very much about borrowing things. So whether it's from the ODP leadership program, or you see here on the left pictures from our manager development series, we're going to do a lot of borrowing of content out there, but we can go curate and bring it to you. Also is building things internally. And so one of the things when I hired Starla was because she had really strong capabilities to make videos, build trainings. She had already designed trainings on so many different topics. And so that's the kind of team that we wanted to create. So she's made a few hires, but we also, there was talent on our team that was already doing this and just needed to continue to develop their skills so that we could be builders. And then lastly, we will buy. We're not going to not buy things externally, but only when it really is a smart thing to do. We want to be, great stewards of the company's resources. I think when you see here over on the left, there's some borrowed and built things. And the only thing we bought for this one program were those little things that say, those little cards that say motivation up there. We bought some little cards to use in an activity. So we really, again, try to go with borrow, build, and then buy if we have to. I'm going to have Starla talk about big, I think, innovation or disruption, but a lot of this was really built internally.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kim. So as part of the talent development's commitment to innovation, we took a second look at our new management orientation. This is something that had been going on long before I joined Encore. But we had a few conversations with different leaders about it, and we realized that what we had might have needed a second look. So instead of just revising the new manager orientation as it was, we decided to blow it up a little bit. And by that, I mean, we went back to the drawing board and we made a list of things that leadership felt was needed, which is how we came up with this new manager support ecosystem for managers. Now, this is just one of the ways that we've tried to be innovative and more intentional with our managers' time, our employees' time. So we're trying to give managers exactly what they need, exactly when they need it. So I'm going to give you a high-level preview of the new manager support ecosystem to kind of show you the difference with what we're doing. So managers who attended the new manager orientation would come in for a 2-day training that included all classroom training and then a dinner in between. But they may have come in anywhere from 1 day to 1 year after becoming a manager. When we thought about that, if you think about that, that's a huge range, right? Like it's a lot of time, and half of the things that you're covering in there, a manager probably has figured it out after a year. So we wanted to be more intentional. The first part of our new manager ecosystem was to send every new manager a congratulatory letter from yours truly. And in that, we're introducing them to the resources that are made available to them. That includes the just-in-time training to give them exactly what they need, exactly when they need it. This includes introducing them to the resources, going through e-learning assignments of making the transition, which focuses on from being a peer to becoming the leader. So you have to think about that a little bit differently. But we give them managing within the law, which focuses on leading compliantly. And then we also have manager minutes, which are bite-sized trainings that focus on topics that managers need to know. Then we thought about their skill development, which includes us automatically enrolling leaders in the manager development series, which is development training for managers that we've created to develop them as of last April, I believe. We've recently launched MDS3, which I've got an amazing team who's helping me to put that on, but managers can self-register for that. Then we created Manager Connection Portal. Dun, dun, dun. I'll talk about this a little bit more shortly, but this is an upgrade to our manager tools site and includes resources, videos, infographics, and so much more that a new manager or even an existing manager may need. So next, we wanted to create a culture of support. In order to do this, we are encouraging questions for managers. And part of our training that we do conduct for the leadership is on how we can create psychological safety for employees and for managers. And then finally, we also wanted to have some metrics to show the effectiveness of the trainings that we offer. So this is kind of like our high level snapshot of the new manager support ecosystem.
Yeah, so this is definitely doing something a totally different way. And really, this was all built. And within what we're building, we have some borrowing and we have a tiny bit of buying. But yeah, this is the kind of capabilities we have. And again, so even though this is starting with managers, this is the kind of thing that we can also begin bringing to all employees. So switching from the kind of more strategic shift in how we're operating and looking at solutions, especially as we look at technologies and bringing in technologies, we're going to start with kind of thinking about technology to support recruiting. And so one of the things, again, is as we looked at how we could best support them, we engaged our stakeholders and we asked them a couple questions. We were figuring this out for ourselves. What does Encore already do well? And we were seeing some great things that Encore was doing. I mean, the amount of leaders and employees that are out there involved in university recruiting. Joe and I both talk about how in other companies, we have to beg leaders and we have to beg employees to help us recruit because you know the job. So Encore was already doing so many things well, but then we also said, what are some opportunities for improvement? Now, bringing in best in class, Joe had already started a process with getting a technology through our purchasing and our technology screening of an app that was going to help us. And so it was really nice to know that there was an appetite we weren't sure existed. In one of our, I think, a director's meeting with Transmission, for example, one of the directors said, will you please get us this this QR code, because we're at these events and we don't have it and the other tables have it. Do you know what I'm talking about? And Joe is luckily could say, yes, we've got it. And I'll tell you, we actually found a video that was on YouTube that has one of these events when, and just let me just show you.
Hey mom, I'm proving to you that I went to the career fair like I told you I was going to, and I'm even excited to do this little video for you. I'm at the Encore table and they're so nice, and they said they would do this video with me, so you guys say what you just said to me.
Hi mom, we just finished speaking with Brittany and it was a great conversation and we would love to move her to the interview stage.
Okay, so where's that little thing that I scan so I can make an appointment?
Yeah, so we don't have a QR code, but do you have a paper resume on you?
No. Does that mean I'm not going to get an interview? They did say we had to bring paper resumes.
No, that's fine. If you could put your personal information on this piece of paper, I can take it back to the office, and then we'll get back in contact you with later this week to set something up.
Okay. All right. Well, Mom, I'm gonna have to go so I can put my personal information on this piece of paper. But can I get some candy or something first? What do you got here?
Help yourself.
Ooh, swag. I'm gonna take this. Can I take your very last
Yes.
selfie light?
Yes.
I'm thinking of those people. So, Joe, can you quickly tell us about this new technology that both the students were happy about, but that was being asked for?
Yeah, absolutely. So as Kim mentioned, we do early talent recruiting, on campus recruiting better than anyone, any company that I've seen. But the issue that we were having, of course, as you see, like in that video, is a lot of the new students coming out now. They're not bringing paper resumes to these events. They're expecting to have a barcode to scan. So what we put in place was Yellow Recruiting Platform. So basically, this is not only going to give us a barcode when we go out to events. The hiring managers can have candidates scan that barcode while they're standing in line waiting for them to talk. They take about 30 seconds to fill out the information, and that'll allow them to get into our system. And not only are they in the Yellow system, but they're at that specific event within our portal. So before the hiring manager goes to the event, they're setting it up within the Yellow portal that says, this is our Recruit Military event on April 30th. So when that candidate scans a barcode, they go directly into that pool. So the hiring manager could go back to the office, go through that candidate pool, contact individuals, and schedule them right through Yellow. They can set up their interviews right through Yellow, and they can do their interviews through Yellow. So this makes a better candidate experience on the very front end when individuals are coming up. And we're a technology company, right? We shouldn't be collecting the paper resumes. We should have that up-to-date technology that makes it easier on the candidates. So we want to show up to these events looking first in class, like we are first in class. And this is one of the ways that we can do that. And there's just so many more opportunities aside from collecting, instead of collecting personal information on paper, bringing it back to the office and potentially losing that at the event or on the way back to the office. We'll have all this into the system. So not only are we contacting candidates now, but also this is allowing our hiring managers and recruiters to build talent pools like we haven't before. We're no longer just getting back to candidates we're interested in to hire right at that moment, but we're creating large candidate pools within Yellow so that we can have ongoing contact with these individuals, create warming campaigns. So it's really redefining how we go about early talent recruiting and creating more of a holistic approach to it instead of just one-off events. This is allowing us to continue to reach these candidates until we find a right fit. So this has been a game changer since we rolled it out. There's a lot more that we're continuing to advance through this Yellow platform, like on-demand interviewing, where we could pre-record questions, have their candidates go in, record their answers, and send them back to us. So this has really been an answer to what hiring managers have been looking for since Kim, Starla, and I have come on board.
And I think we found a video on that same girl's YouTube site, didn't we? Like that. Once we got this, so let's check that out.
Hey, Mom, I had to do another video this year because guess what? The same folks that, from Encore are here. And remember how I told you I didn't do the Encore internship last year, but I really wish I would have. I heard how amazing this company is. And so I had to, Miss Starla, will you tell Mom what you just said?
Yes, we had an opportunity to speak with Brittany again, and we are still interested. So we want to bring her in for an interview.
Yeah. So I did bring your resume, and I'm really glad that I see you have the QR code over there. So I just need to scan this. Is that right?
Yeah, go ahead and scan this. It'll take you about 30 seconds to complete the intake form. After that, we'll have all the information we need to get you scheduled for an interview.
Yay! Okay, so Mom, I'm gonna have to go so I can do that. But I'm still using the selfie light from last year. I'm gonna take some other swag this year. Hey, Mom.
So some of the feedback we got from one of our transmission managers is Yellow makes tracking job fair candidates so much easier, and they wish they had the technology years ago. And that's something that we'd really love to hear. It gives us the opportunity to provide some ease, some innovation to the hiring managers that are going out to these events. They're already doing incredible work, so we just want to give them the technology that makes it even easier. And and grows their candidate pools. So I'm going to turn it over to my my accomplice in that video, Starla Sharp.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I know Joe just mentioned Yellow, and that was a new technology that we have, but not every technology that we're using is a new one. I mentioned earlier when I was going through the new manager support ecosystem about the manager connection portal. So let's take a look at how we're leveraging our existing technology, or borrowing, as Kim says, in our build, borrow, and buy, or borrow, build, and buy. So I am borrowing technology, and the build part is that we're creating a brand new site called the Manager Connection Portal, which we'll give you a sneak peek at now. So Kim, you'll show us.
Welcome to your new Manager Connection Portal. As part of our Encore 2030 Plus strategy, we have upgraded manager tools to the new Manager Connection Portal. This new site is designed to empower you with the tools, the insights, and the resources that you need to support you every step of the employee life cycle. You asked, we listened. We will guide you through every step of this transition. This site is designed to improve your user experience. It is now scalable and functional, reflecting on the needs and insights gathered from managers when using the old manager tools. This new site will continue to grow as we grow, being the source of truth for managers new and old. Navigating the site, you'll notice the 7 main tiles below. 6 of them are the employee lifecycle, while the 7th one is a new tile for new manager support. Once selecting a tile or a subpage, you'll find each page is organized with hyperlinks at the top to find everything that's covered on that page. You will also notice the red menu on the left-hand side. This allows you to easily navigate back and forth to other pages. If there's something that you cannot find, please let us know. Each page has our learning@encore.com email address ready for you to give us all of your feedback. Again, you asked and we listened, and we will continue to listen to ensure Manager Connection Portal is your go-to tool for all things managing and leading your team. Now, so that you know, we will be going live with this on April the 28th, but we wanted to give you a sneak peek today. Thank you for your continued dedication throughout this transition. This new website is a testament to our commitment to innovation and collaboration. Together, we have built a platform that not only meets today's needs, but is scalable for tomorrow's challenges. Now, go forth and let's grow with Encore. Welcome.
I don't know if you guys noticed, I also have on my Grow with Encore logo shirt. But manager tools, previously, it was created to be a place that managers could go to find information all in one place, especially as it related to policies and procedures that were part of their responsibilities as a manager. But over the past year, we've made a lot of changes, such as automatically giving managers access to different things, and we've improved our communication to new managers. But the talent development team has begun adding infographics that reinforce all of the topics that we're covering in our manager development series training. And we're including helpful templates that managers can go back and use, and manager guides to support key activities, such as the interviewing or developing their talent, as Joe and I were kind of talking to earlier. And in 2025 and beyond, we will continue to evolve and change the Manager Connection into a new learning site. So we still have the Learning Center, which is where you'll do your compliance training, but we are creating more learning sites that allow managers access to things exactly when they need them. This will have more tools and resources, bite-sized trainings in it, as well as key topics for managers that we're branding the Manager Minutes. So you'll hear more about our Manager Minutes as we continue to grow. So there's a lot more to come. We still, again, have the Learning Center, but we will be building the learning sites out. This is not just for managers. We've started with managers, but we're moving to employees as well. I've seen a couple of the questions in the chat to learn about how do we know more about this as an employee? Don't worry, there's more to coming, and this will be with our Grow with Encore. This is focused at employees. We're trying to give you what you need to help you with several different things, including interviewing, to know when, how to do your resumes and make them stand out, how to be that standout candidate. So we've got a lot more that's coming in store for you guys.
Thank you, Starla. And I just have to say I think Starla and Lauren, who is on this call as well, the little videos that we've embedded in here was a way to kind of show you again that we can, do these things really quick for you. The ones that were on the YouTube site were actually just done on an iPhone. So it's not like we were bringing in, as a team of people externally to help us do this. There's a point in time when companies need to do that, but also we don't always need to do that. So anyway, so thanks for, sharing your talent here and doing the videos to help with this presentation today. I'm going to close this out before we go to questions just by saying, kind of reminding that, hey, this was really about for us. And I think anytime we're going to drive innovation in a company is to make sure that you are doing the right work, that you're doing it the right way, and that you do it at the right time. And by engaging our stakeholders was really a way that we were able to do that. This quote, I was really proud to hear a different SLT member that I was meeting with say, you and your team, you've just brought so much change and innovation, but it hasn't felt really disruptive for us. It's been done really well. And I'd say because, kind of being a trainer at the core is if I could say anything to any of you that are also driving innovation and transformation for Encore is that the guiding principles that we used and leveraged or that we shared with you are really just fundamentals of effectively leading change. And so I think it's real important that when you, are doing this, that you kind of look and study it and try to understand, how do I lead change effectively, which is a training that we've been doing as well. So thanks very much. I'm going to stop sharing right now. We'll have a few minutes here if there's any questions. I know the questions were coming through the chat, but
They were coming. They were coming.
we haven't answered that. Amy, any that you've seen that we need to answer?
So I saw you guys did answer them in chat, but we'll go ahead and just talk about them if that's okay. So the first one asked if all external candidates would get notifications too about the status of their application. And Joe said, yes, all candidates will receive. They'll know if they were successful or unsuccessful. And then we had another question that says, I've experienced the before and after in the recruiting workflow, and it is much improved. If you had to pick one area of focus that has made the biggest impact and the enhancements you've made, what would you say it is?
Yeah, the biggest enhancements that we've seen, I would say the major is returning time back to the hiring managers. They've really enjoyed being able to do their day jobs and not have to be those part-time recruiters that they've been in the past. So the benefit to the biggest impact, I would say, would be right there. The other is us being able to be a strategic partner throughout the process. So it's not just doing the admin work and taking that off of them, but it's being able to help screen the candidates after learning what they're looking for in that perfect candidate profile. That's really what we want to start building, is those really strong candidate profiles for the candidates, and being able to go out and find those candidates for the hiring managers. So us being that trusted advisor, strategic partner has really been a major impact for the hiring manager and for us to learn more about that business.
And I would have, we talk about work being done the right time or the right, way. Also, it's in the right place. And so in this case, we were having managers doing things that really should have sat in recruiting, and they just didn't have that before. So we did take the work and put it in the right place, but also the right place for some of this work was automating it so that no one was doing the work, but we would have systems to support that.
And thanks for that feedback, Lou. That's great to hear. Appreciate it.
The next one says, is there a feedback or accountability metric from managers? The amount of people that quit because of toxic managers is fairly high. And then to add on to that, Starla answered in the chat, and she mentioned they started training on stay interviews. And we had a question asking, how do employees learn about the stay interview process?
So one of the things that we did is, like, to your point, and those that have kind of chimed in on this, yes, it does start with the managers. So what we wanted to do is aim for the managers first before going to the employees with all of the trainings that we're offering. The stay interview is something that we are training managers on to have conversations with their team so that they understand what it is that is bothering their team, what would make them want to stay at Encore versus leave. So instead of just doing the exit interviews whenever someone leaves, we want to know what will make you leave, what will make you stay. So we're starting with managers. Future state, we are working on having conversations with employees to try and develop them as well. I agree. I've heard that saying so many times that, employees don't quit companies, they quit managers. And that's true. So that's why we are working on developing our managers so that we can get the best, upskill them to be the best managers that they can be at Encore. Kim, you want to add on to that?
I would, because I think the data shows, yeah, they quit bad managers and they quit bad careers. And so for us to think about doing some things to help you take more control and feel more empowered over growing your career here, we really needed to start with managers, because in addition to us as a group helping you develop, managers play such a key role in that. And so we really were, wanting to build and continue to build that capability, because we know it's not just a one-time training and they're going to be good at this, right? But to continue to help them develop you, but then also do some things to develop you directly. And I will say, even though we talked about recruiting and going and looking for great talent on the outside, and that should make you feel good that we're bringing in really strong team members from the outside that are going to fit our culture and fit, our organization, and have that same, I think, drive to serve our communities that we have. We want to make sure that we are, bringing that talent in. But even with this stronger effort there, I'll tell you this, the data still shows that last year we did increase year over year with the number of internal employees that had career movements and promotions. So this is not done to the expense of the internal growth. That is still foremost, in our minds, and I think in the organization's mind.
Mhm. So does that answer your question? I know there were a couple that had this question.
So the next question, and go ahead, Emil. I was waiting to see if anything came up in the chat on that. What kind of training or guidance is available to employees that aren't currently managers but would like to be? How can they start preparing or becoming prepared for that role?
That's a great question. So part of the Grow with Encore is going to focus on the employee's perspective. We are in the process of building out trainings for more emerging leaders, but we haven't quite gotten there yet. So that's more to come, future state.
Yeah, we've done that in other organizations we've been a part of, so we know that that's important. We're also looking at how do we leverage some of the tools that we end up building for managers. How can we provide some of those to just anybody that's interested in learning a little bit more about what we're training managers? So those things will come as well.
So the next question is, do you ever use employee volunteers from different departments at job fairs or for panel discussions?
Yeah, we do for job fairs, we definitely do through a lot of our ERGs. When we go out to career fairs, we'll have our ERGs attend with us, especially with our Valor's been great. So we do look for employee volunteers, usually through our ERGs, to go out to some of these events.
I'd also say that employees have also volunteer often to go back and recruit at the universities that they've come out of. And so if you're interested to get involved in that, but you're not sure who's the recruiting team that goes there, we can certainly, just help you kind of connect with, those recruiting teams so that you can go and, go back and tell your former, I guess, students that from your university, hey, come to Encore.
Absolutely.
We had a question for our side that I'll address. It said, have you thought about anonymous suggestions or questions and presentations, because some people might feel shy asking or they don't want their name tied? I think you may be able to select who you send it to. I think there's an option that's all panelists. If you send it there, just the panelists would see it and not everyone in the meeting. I know I can see it, but I'm a panelist. I'm not sure if all attendees have that option. Or you could also send an email to me or someone else on our team, or pods@encore.com with your question, and we can ask it on the session.
And I think if you have in general questions about talent development, or recruiting, talent acquisition, what we're doing here, HR Help has in My HR Connection, HR Help, if you ask a question related to what something might be in our group, they will route it to the best subject matter expert on our team. And of course, now you know us, so you would have our emails. Yeah, so we're definitely here to help answer questions. And the other thing that Starla's working on and leveraging SharePoint for is she does want to build out more of a site for what we're doing in talent development. And so you'll have a place to go and look and see what's new. And as we continue to keep saying we're going to be doing this and going to be doing this, and I feel like we've worked really fast for just a year. But, you know, as we start doing things, there'll be a place you could go to see, hey, what's new out there. Joe's also working on the career side and building out the career site. We're starting externally for recruiting, but even internally, we want to have more around what's available for you as you want to focus on your career. So, and I'll say that that's one of the reasons why one of the first transformations was when Angela put recruiting and development together and made my role of talent management, it didn't exist before I came, was because there's so many things that Starla and Joe's teams are working on that kind of overlap. The very thing we need to hire talent to do is what we need to develop talent to do, you know, so and you know, really kind of there's this interdependency and connection. So we really are doing things in a unique way.
Great. And again, to Kim's point, if you guys have questions or if you just want to chat and kind of understand more, reach out to us. We are open books. We all respond. So feel free to reach out. And we're normally at Woodall, so you can always stop by as well.
Yeah, or we may refer you to someone on our team that is a better person to have that conversation. You know, as Joe was sharing his team and the recruiters, they're now aligning with the different functional business groups, kind of like how the HR business partners are.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'll have recruiters that will get to know the group you're in, the group you're interested in, and the roles and those kinds of things. So even though some of us have come recently from the outside, having that aligned perspective will help develop that so that they can also, you know, kind of be maybe someone that you'd be referred to chat with.
On to that, I'll also add that over the years, we've gotten quite a few ideas submitted through our PODS idea tool related to suggestions for improving the onboarding process or recruiting. And we do pass those on to Kim and her team. That's also an avenue. We'll get it to you guys. And then it looks like we have one more question, and it is, are there career fairs that are held other places besides universities?
Oh yeah, we're doing career fairs at just tomorrow. We have one at AT&T Stadium. So we have military career fairs. We have campus recruiting events. We go out to some of the trade schools for career fairs. And we work with the Texas Workforce Commission. So anytime, those are the events that we currently go to. But anytime someone brings up an event and says, hey, this could be a great opportunity, we're always willing to consider other events. We do disability events through Disability In conference. So and we do numerous diversity events throughout the year. So yeah, we're always looking for other avenues to recruit out of. It doesn't have to be a university event. So if your department or your team wants to go out to an event and you want to send it our way so we can check it out, please do.
And maybe somewhere down the road, we have to do some things, I think, internally within our organization and HR to make this, I think, a more effective thing. But you may at some point see a virtual internal career fair as well.
Mhm.
So things we've all done in other organizations. But again, it's one of those things where sometimes it's the right time and there's some things we feel like we could do first before we get to that point.
Okay, good to know. So we'll go ahead and wrap it up here so you have a little bit of time if you're able to join us for our next session. At 11 o'clock, we have Getting the Dish on the Deep, Dope, and Dobie initiatives. And that doesn't mean anything to you. You should join us and figure out what they are. And thank you again to our panelists, to Joe, Starla, and Kim. We really appreciate you joining us today. And we will hopefully see you all later. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you. And thanks for having us a part of Innovation Week.
Welcome.
Bye.
Have a good one.